Doubles pickleball, the basic overall strategy. How to understand what's going on in a pickleball match. This video introduces the basic overall strategy of pickleball so that spectators and newcomers to the game can understand what good pickleball players are doing and why. After watching this video, you should be able to understand the logic behind the shot selections and why the players are doing what they are doing through each phase of a pickleball point. This video is not a how to play pickleball video. If you are looking for shot-by-shot strategy advice, please see my other video, Doubles Pickleball Strategy 101, which is an instructional video on strategy. A newcomer to the sport watching a pickleball match will likely be impressed by the smash shots and the ball placements, perhaps believing that the sport is mainly about shot making. What they will likely miss is all of the logic behind the less dramatic play that leads up to the final shot. In this video, I will break apart how a typical point progresses, explaining what's going on and why. First of all, you need to understand that, just like in doubles tennis, the main initial strategy goal in doubles pickleball is to get your team to the net while trying to keep your opponents away from it. The team that controls the net controls the match. As you watch these video clips, it should become obvious that the team at the net has a huge advantage over opponents who are anywhere further back. The team away from the net is usually in a defensive mode, and they must work quickly toward getting to the net or they will likely lose the point. The statistic is this: when you are facing a team at the net, if you can't get your team to the net, you've got a 70% chance of losing the point. The team at the net has a huge tactical advantage over a team that is away from the net. They have a much wider choice of shot angles, both horizontally and vertically. They can hit short dink shots or they can hit deep. They can hit short, sharply angled shots to the sidelines or deeper shots to the back corners. In contrast, players who are deep in the court have much more limited angles and shot choices. In tournament play, most pickleball points go through 4 phases. I call these Phase 1, the formality phase. This is the serve, the return of serve, and the capture of the net by the service return team. This is the formality phase. The serve, the return of serve, and the capture of the net by the service return team. Once again, the serve, the return of serve, and the capture of the net by the service return team. Phase 2, the service team struggle to the net. This is when the service team tries to advance to the net in order to level the playing field. Watch what's happening. There's the serve and the return of serve. Now the serving team is facing 2 players at the net and they must struggle to move up. Once again, watch how the serving team perseveres to get to the net. Phase 3, dinking. This is when all players are at the net and everybody is playing cautiously so as to not let the ball get too high. Watch what happens when all 4 players get to the net. Nobody wants to get careless and let the ball get high, so dinking the ball provides the best protection. Phase 4, fast play at the net. This begins as soon as somebody slips up and lets the ball get high. Watch what happens. Dinking only lasts until the ball gets high enough to invite an aggressive shot. The ball does not have to get very high at all for aggression to begin. Let's look at each phase in more detail and see what the players are doing and why. The formality phase. The formality phase lasts just through the first two shots, the serve and the return of serve. Shot number 1, the serve. An underhand serve to the diagonal court begins the game. What's striking here is that there is nothing very striking here. With underhand serving, a service ace is very rare in tournament play. Unlike in tennis, the server only gets one chance at making a serve. The harder you hit the ball, the less control you have over its direction. So smacking the ball hard increases the chance that it will go into the net or go out of bounds deep. Over half of all of the top players in the United States use serves that are plain vanilla and not very fast. About the only poor serve is one that is short and that bounces high, as this invites a sharply angled cross-court return. Shot number 2, the return of serve. The return of serve is usually also a rather plain Jane shot. Points are rarely scored on the return of serve. The return of serve is normally directed down the middle or to whichever player is expected to make a weaker third shot. A deep return is ideal, but many players will hit it deep by hitting it slightly higher rather than harder. As the serving team must let the service return shot bounce before hitting it, a deep return, whether slow or fast, essentially pins the serving team at the back of the court. The serve and the return of serve shots need not be low to the net or fast, but it's best if both shots are deep. Tournament players rarely hit service returns short intentionally, as this basically gives their opponent a position at the net. You never want to give your opponent an easy journey to the net. The formality phase. The service return team claims the net. The most important thing the service returner must do after hitting the return is get fully to the no-volley zone line to be alongside his partner before the serving team hits the ball back. Watch how the top competitors get to the line before the shot comes back. It's especially important to volley back the third shot whenever possible to stop the serving team from advancing toward the net. If the service return team misses the volley opportunity and waits for a bounce, the chance to hold back the serving team is likely lost, along with the strategic advantage. Here you see an example of how the service return team quickly seized the net and volleyed back shots until the serving team failed. The return of the serve and the capture of the net by the service receiving team ends phase 1 of the point. Again, points are rarely scored during this phase. Here you see several examples of phase 1 play. As you can see, nothing very exciting usually happens during this period. Phase 2. The service team struggle to get to the net. With the service return team now at the net where they hold a huge tactical advantage, we begin phase 2 of the point where the serving team attempts to progress toward the net. So, after the service return, which is the second shot, the player and ball positions should look something like this. The service receivers are both fully to the no-volley zone line. The members of the serving team are back here, and the ball will likely be back here also. What's the best strategy for hitting the third shot? At first, you might think it's okay to just hit the ball and run forward. However, you must be very careful when hitting to net players, and you should avoid being in motion when the net player hits the ball back to you. So what's the best strategy for the serving team when they are hitting the third shot? The magic shot is a rather slow drop shot into the non-volley zone. Watch closely. With this one shot, the serving team can follow it to get fully to the net ending phase 2 of the point. This is the most critical shot in the game, often making or breaking the point. Here you see some nice examples of well-executed drop shots that allow the serving team to follow the shot to the net. Again, the shot described here, if it successfully bounces in the kitchen, will likely allow the serving team to scramble fully to the no-volley zone line before the opponent net players can send it back. So phase 2 can be over with just this one drop shot. The serving team's journey to the net can become a nightmare if the third shot goes high or deep to the waiting net man. Watch what happens if the third shot goes too deep. The net players are going to send the ball back toward the feet of the serving team members in an effort to stop their progress toward the net. The perseverance to move to the net is important. Here is a great example of perseverance. Here is another example of what happens if the third shot comes in too deep. As said earlier, when you are facing a team at the net, if you can't get your team to the net, you've got a 70% chance of losing the point. Most top competitors will choose to play the third shot as the soft drop shot into the kitchen versus choosing the fastball described next as the drop shot, so long as it lands in the kitchen, nearly ensures that the serving team will advance to the net. The next choice for a third shot that can work well against certain opponents is to hit a low fastball down the center or toward an opponent weakness. In these video clips, you see the fastball strategy. What you're hoping for is a weak and defensive return that opens an opportunity or at least allows some forward progress. Here we see a successful result. Here is another successful result. And here is another successful result. However, here is what usually happens when you try this against good players. What goes over fast comes back at you fast. Again, watch what happens. The fastball third shot often comes back at you fast. Among advanced tournament players, the serving team eventually succeeds in getting to the non-volley zone line. So, most tournament points proceed through phase 2 and into phase 3. Phase 3, the dinking phase. Once both teams are at the net, everyone must be careful not to let the ball get too high. If the ball gets to net height or higher, somebody is going to smash it or hit it straight at you. This careful mode is what creates the dinking game. With both teams so close at point-blank range, the smart strategy is to keep the ball low and inside the kitchen. Dinking continues until somebody hits the ball into the net or somebody hits the ball high enough to invite a smash or a shot to the body. At this close range, a smash is almost impossible to return. As you can see, the dinking game ends abruptly once a smash or body shot occurs. Phase 4, fast net play. Phase 4 begins when somebody hits the ball high enough to invite a smash or a shot to the body. Watch closely. If somebody puts the ball really high, an overhead smash will be used. However, the more common case is that aggression will begin as soon as a fastball shot to the body or a fastball shot to an open area can be made. Watch here. As soon as a dink comes to the forehand, the fast game breaks out. It may sound rude or unsportsmanlike, but among advanced players, shots directed straight at the torso are not just considered acceptable, they are a practiced and expected part of the game. At this close range, a fastball coming straight at your chest is tough to handle. If the receiver of a shot to the body returns it, it's usually a poor return that invites an even harder shot. Watch here. It's like a 1-2 punch. The first shot stuns, and the second one is the kill. In general, once the fast game starts, it continues until the point ends. Players involved in the fast volley phase must decide quickly whether to hit the ball or dodge it so as to avoid hitting a shot that will go out of bounds. So, the fast game involves an element of dodgeball. To sum up, in tournament play, the point usually progresses through all 4 phases. Shots such as lobs can reset a point to an earlier phase. Watch these points and see if you can identify the 4 phases of each point. I hope this video has been helpful.
You're going to see some different styles here. Big time styles.
A whole bunch of pace there.
0-2-2. Now our score is. Jen returns that one. Can you see, wanted to stay on that underhand, not wanting to let that ball come up. Hamner tried to put it away.
Yeah.
And